pitch. There are the numbers, just awesome. Roger with 121 innings pitched. Look at the strikeouts, 122. He leads in several categories in the American League. He's first in ERA, first in wins with 12. He has the longest winning streak with 11. And the opposition is batting .201 against him. That is second in the league behind Randy Johnson up in Seattle. And Roger is set to face the Montreal Expos for the second game of this series.
John, the game time temperature is 27 degrees. A sellout crowd this afternoon. The first here since April the 26th of 1995. And very quickly, let's set the defense.
Green, Nixon, and Merced. Joe Carter will be the designated hitter this afternoon. And Tilson Brito is going to play second base. Carlos Garcia will be on the bench. And Charlie O'Brien gets the nod behind the plate, catching the Rocket Man, Roger Clemens.
And the first pitch from Clemens at 2:04 Eastern on Canada Day 1997 is a strike to the Montreal shortstop, Mark Grzelcyk. Grzelcyk 1 for 3, scored a run last night. He was on first base when Segui lifted that high fly ball to center field. And Otis Nixon lost sight of, went for a triple, an RBI triple. Grzelcyk scoring the second in what it turned out to be the winning run.
Brian, we heard Otis Nixon talk about facing Pedro Martinez. Well, the Montreal Expos have been looking forward to facing Roger Clemens.
You make a good point, and we talked about it last night. Before the game yesterday, I was asking the players about opposing players. They said, forget the players. It's the pitchers we want to see. The Blue Jays wanted to see Martinez last night. I'm not sure they're too happy they did today. And, of course, the Expos looking forward to seeing Roger Clemens.
And we should say Pat Hinken last night, last year's Cy Young Award winner. These are the classic matchups. We saw a pitcher's duel last night. We expect one here again this afternoon. And Roger would like to get through this first inning with a quick 1-2-3. He's going to have to do it against a pretty good top of the order for the Montreal Expos.
And Grzelcyk works Clemens to a full count, leading it off here in the top of the first inning. Grzelcyk stays alive. He's a notorious gap hitter. Thus, not surprising to see the stat that he leads the major leagues with 29 doubles.
Well, like last night with Pat Hinken pitching, they're pretty good matchups. Hinken, of course, a fastball pitcher. Roger Clemens also with a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball. This is a good fastball hitting team. They're aggressive at the plate, and they like to swing at fastballs.
Brito, the second baseman, on the first base, and the leadoff hitter, Mark Grzelcyk, is retired. Some interesting notes regarding these two teams.
Think back to the Pearson Cup. I pitched in one of those years ago. Interesting that both teams matching records with a 3-3 record, a couple of ties. The last Pearson Cup played in 1986.
One down. Here's the Montreal second baseman, Mike Lansing. That's hit to center field. Nixon back into the shadows and up to the warning track, makes the catch, 2 down.
Watch for the Expos to jump on the first fastball they see from Roger Clemens. They know he has that good split-fingered fastball, likes to get ahead with a fastball. And this time, Lansing sending Otis Nixon back to the warning track in center field. 2 quick outs for Roger.
And with 2 down here in the top of the first inning, brings up the Expos third baseman, F.P. Santangelo. That is ball 1. Santangelo was 0 for 4 last night. Missed a couple of starts in Florida due to an inflamed left knee. Two balls and one strike to Santangelo with two down. David Segui on deck. Just past Brito. And with two down here in the top of the first inning, Santangelo with a base hit to right field.
Breaking ball in the middle of the plate, hit hard on the ground on the right side. Tilson Brito with a diving effort. Carlos Garcia was there last night. Tilson's done a nice job playing third base when Ed Sprague had the injury to the shoulder.
First pitch is a strike to the first baseman Segui. Segui had a big night last night, 2 for 3 with a run batted in. Speaking of running, Santangelo 6 for 9 in stolen base attempts. And John Cerruti, as a former pitcher, we should point this out early, both pitchers not great at holding runners.
Well, Roger, with the big leg kick and the off-speed pitch, the split finger that he puts a lot of people away with, runners will try to pick situations and counts where he's going to throw that off-speed pitch.
That drops and bounces over the left fielder, Sean Green. Santangelo is in to score. It's 1-0 Montreal, and into second base is David Segui. Well, we talked about Segui being dangerous last night, 2 for 3 with a run batted in. He picks it up here in the first inning this afternoon.
Just a mistake by left fielder Sean Green. He knew the ball was going to drop in front of him, and when this gets to this time of the year at Sky Dome, that turf gets a little warmer and the ball will bounce a little bit more. You can see him come in. He thinks he has it played in front of him, and no chance as it bounds over his head. Just a mistake by Sean Green in left field, and it was good that Otis Nixon, you see him come into the picture, is hustling to back him up. But with 2 outs, the runner from first base, Santangelo, with good speed, scores the first run of the ball game.
That is strike one to the left fielder, Henry Rodriguez. Scored that a double and a run batted in for Segui. He drove in the winner last night, drives in the first run here this afternoon. Henry Rodriguez is third in the National League with 39 extra base hits. He's also second in strikeouts with 87. Ron Gant leads from the Cardinals with 90. I'll tell you what, Charlie O'Brien's color coordinated back there. The Blue Jays special Canada Day uniforms matching his mask.
That looks good, doesn't it? Got the stitching around the chin area. Stitching of a baseball.
Roger Clemens noticed the blue glove.
The new glove for Roger is color coordinated as well. I like those uniforms.
One and two to Rodriguez is a ball.
I can see new people just tuning in and say, "Who's Canada? He looks like Roger Clemens." You see him just come in the living room, flicking on. Say, "Wait a minute, who's that?"
Down even at 2-2, 1 run in, 1-0 Montreal. Runner at second base, 2 down.
Blue Jays had a player, you may remember Cañate, spelled similarly. Oh, big out right here for Roger. Had a mistake in the outfield. He has a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. He needs to get a pretty good hitter in Henry Rodriguez.
Roger Clemens really not that sharp in this first inning, but he strikes out Henry Rodriguez. 88th time this year Rodriguez has gone down on strikes. first inning. Jeff Juden starts for the Montreal Expos. He'll face Otis Nixon leading off. Some changes from last night. Merced was DHing last night, had the sore shoulder, injured at making a diving catch off Lenny Webster Saturday in Baltimore. Carter was in left last night. He's DHing this afternoon. Delgado's at first. Sean Green, you saw him have trouble with that high hop in left field there in the top of the first inning. Charlie O'Brien catching this afternoon in place of Santiago. Gonzalez at short. Brito's at second base with Garcia on the bench, and the starting pitcher for the Montreal Expos, the big right-hander, is Jeff Juden. First pitch is a ball to Otis Nixon.
Jeff Juden has been one of the nice surprises, pleasant surprise for the Montreal Expos. He came out of camp expecting to be in relief, and here he is 9-2 in the middle of the season. He's making his 17th start. There are the numbers, and he's been very hot lately. He's looking to win his 5th straight start and 10th of the season this afternoon.
That's a strike. Count is 2-1. Juden pitched a 4-hitter, and get this, had 2 hits and drove in 2 runs to beat Florida last Thursday. The Expos winning 5-2. In that game, Juden didn't allow a hit until Gary Sheffield's 5th inning home run. He struck out 6 and walked 2. He's had great success against the Marlins this year. The Expos chasing Florida. He's 3-0 against Florida. That's a strike.
The big right-hander has always had a good arm and a good fastball. He throws in the low 90s, has a slider. And what they've been working with him last year, coming over to the Montreal Expos, working on that release point, which has enabled him to use both sides of the plate.
Well, he gives up a leadoff walk to Otis Nixon, and this is very significant. I talked about Clemens having trouble holding runners. Jeff Juden has really been a disaster when it comes to allowing stolen bases.
25 of 26 would-be base stealers have been successful, and that's a reflection usually on the pitcher. They're able to get good jumps. There's the defense for the Montreal Expos. Rodriguez, White, and Guerrero. Same infield as we saw last night. Chris Widger, the young catcher, catching the big right-hander, Jeff Juden.
There goes Nixon. 35th stolen base for Otis Nixon, and bang, just like that, he's running against Jeff Juden as the Blue Jays are well aware of Juden's problems in holding runners.
Well, he's such a big pitcher, that high leg kick, Otis wasting no time picking the first pitch in there easily to second base. That's his 35th and 43 attempts on the season. Brian, we talked about it last night with Pedro Martinez. The Blue Jays weren't able to get many base runners and give them a chance to steal bases.
Merced is out at first, but he moves Nixon over to third base.
Good baseball right there. You steal a base. The very next pitch, Orlando Merced doing his job, advancing the run to third base, hitting it on the ground to the right side. Now it'll be up to Joe Carter to drive in Nixon and tie this ball game.
Nixon at third base, 1 down. It's 1-0 Montreal. We're in the bottom of the first inning. For ball 1 to Joe Carter. Carter having a bad June. He's hitting only 182, but he does have 20 runs batted in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Carter hitting 182 in June. Ed Sprague is hitting 198 in June. Being July 1st, of course, he hit 198.
That was a good slider from Juden, down and away. He tries to run that fastball in on right-handers up out of the strike zone. Now he has Joe in the hole, the 1-ball, 2-strike count. Of course, the infield back, Joe needs to just hit a fly ball or ground ball.
Carter was 0 for 4 last night, struck out to end the game, and strikes out in a key situation here in the bottom of the first inning, and this has been a problem for the Blue Jays. Their inability to bring in the runners.
The Expos had the infield back, which is usually the play here in the first inning. See a good pitch that Joe's not able to make contact. And when Juden gets ahead, he's awfully tough because, like Martinez last night, he throws hard. Not quite as hard as Martinez. Juden around 92, 93 miles per hour. But you put that in the head of the hitter, and it makes it awfully difficult to catch up with the off-speed pitches.
That's ball 1 to Carlos Delgado. It's interesting, last night in the 7th inning, after Carter struck out for the second time, Delgado hit a solo home run to right field. We saw Joe Carter striking out the first strikeout for Juden this afternoon. That's the 4th time Carter has struck out in this series. Struck out 3 times and grounded out last night. Juden falls behind. 3 balls and no strikes to Delgado.
There's the defense for the Montreal Expos with 2 outs against Delgado. You can see pretty much straight up, slightly to pull to the right side. Remember last week against the Red Sox, Jimmy Williams and the Red Sox really had him shaded around at the shortstop behind second base, even to the right side of second base, and Juden loses Delgado.
That is the second walk here in the bottom of the first inning given up by Juden. He walked the leadoff hitter Nixon, who stole second. Went to third on the ground out to the right side by Merced. So on at first base is Delgado. Runners at the corners, 2 down. Here's Ed Sprague. Sprague would love to get a good start to the month of July after hitting below 200 in June. That's a strike.
I mentioned the 4 straight wins by Juden in his last 4 starts. He's averaged 6 strikeouts in each of those games, so he's not one that's going to strike out double figures too often.
1 ball and 1 strike. Sprague holds off, and the count is 2-1.
Jeff Juden came to the Expos last season from San Francisco and appeared in a career-high 58 ball games, all in relief. As I said earlier, he broke camp expecting to be out of the bullpen. What a nice surprise coming into the starting rotation. Winning 9 games by the end of June. Here we are at July 1. And he's looking for his number 10.
David Segui, the veteran first baseman, over to talk to Juden. There's Nixon at third. Led off the bottom of the first with a walk. There's Delgado, who walked with 2 down.
Cito likes to run 3-1 with 2 outs. So look for Delgado here to maybe be on the move.
Popped up in foul territory. No. Yes. Yes. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Top of the second inning. Long throw by Ed Sprague retires the leadoff hitter Vladimir Guerrero. Guerrero with a solo home run last night in the second inning for the first Montreal run.
Strong arm at third base for Ed Sprague. He's had that shoulder a couple of weeks ago, but he feels healthy. Good strong throw getting the leadoff batter here in the second inning.
With 1 down, here's the Expos designated hitter, Ryan McGuire. McGuire was called up from AAA Ottawa June 5th. And immediately, you know, you wonder where they find these young players. Immediately had a 12-game hitting streak. In fact, you wondered if Segui would get back in the lineup, but Segui is playing first base today. McGuire DH. Count even at 1-1 with 1 down.
Brian, what McGuire has done is called taking advantage of the opportunity presented to yourself. He has made it very hard for Felipe Alou to get him out of the lineup. He's had a lot of good at-bats, and as you mentioned, some key hits. Roger wanted that one. Running fastball, just missing inside.
Yeah, he went. Come on, appeal.
Rocky Rowe is the home plate umpire, and Roger Clemens, he keeps a book. He's done it throughout his career on the umpires around the American League, and now he started one with the National League with interleague play.
Clemens loses McGuire with one down. Here is the catch by F.P. Santangelo, and John Cerruti, you made a good comment during the commercial as he goes into the stands.
Well, in a lot of ballparks around baseball, he would not be allowed to make this play. You can see he's benefited from the row there. There was no one there. Great play by F.B. Santangelo for the final out in the inning, and a big out with runners at first and third. When you get down to some ballparks like Yankee Stadium and Fenway, you might find an elbow if you're the visiting team before you even get into the play, I should say out of play there. Remember, once the ball crosses the fair territory into foul territory, I don't mean where the line designates fair from foul, but that is out of play. The player has the opportunity to go in, but it's fair game in the seats. The fans as well can reach for the ball and hit gloves and knock shoulders or whatever. Great play by Santangelo.
Great play when you consider he's not that tall. Raised in Livonia, Michigan, a Detroit suburb. Oh, 0-1 to Rondell White. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
I was talking about the book that Roger Clemens keeps on umpires. He knows the type of umpires they are, what location, what type of strikes they call. He talks about east-west umpires and north-south, meaning which side of the plate. When he talks about an east-west umpire, it means he will give the corners, but he won't give up and down.
Clemens has not been that sharp here this afternoon. The count is 2 balls and 1 strike to the center fielder White, with McGuire on at first base after a 1-out walk. McGuire's 0 for 2 in stolen base attempts. He's going. He is now 0 for 3. Charlie O'Brien guns down Ryan McGuire. 2 down.
With a 2-1 count, this is a good hit-and-run situation, and Rondell White not able to make contact. And once that happens, Charlie O'Brien has a free throw. If he just throws a strike, McGuire not a lot of speed, and an easy out for the second one in the inning.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Rondell White, now with 2 down, 1-0 Montreal. Benito Santiago started last night. It's Charlie O'Brien with Roger Clemens here this afternoon. That's hit well and hit deep. It's out of here. Rondell White with a 2-out home run off Roger Clemens here in the top of the second inning this afternoon, and it's 2-0 Montreal. 6th home run of the year for the Expos' young center fielder. It could have been worse, John Cerruti, had McGuire not been caught stealing.
It's a fastball outer half of the plate. The short, compact swing from Rondell White. He has power to all fields, and there he showed Roger Clemens that he can take a good fastball the other way.
The catcher, Widger, sends Merced back to the warning track. That's all for the Expos in the second inning, but they get one more on White's 10th home run of the year. John Cerruti, Roger Clemens has struggled this afternoon. He's thrown a lot of pitches.
It's been location. He hasn't been hitting his spots in the early going. This is the home run to Rondell White. He left up out over the plate. White made it a 2-0 ball game. I talked earlier, I mentioned the scouting reports. These teams, although they haven't played each other, know each other. They will go over their scouting reports, go over the hitters. Roger Clemens knows the type of hitter that Rondell White is, as well as the rest of the lineup, as does Jeff Juden, respectively, for the Toronto Blue Jays. I feel the advantage is always with the pitcher because they know the type of hitters they're facing, their weaknesses and their strengths, whereas the hitters, in facing a pitcher for the first time, and that's not the case with everyone, but not having seen Roger Clemens and the Blue Jays not having seen Jeff Juden, it takes a while for them to pick up the fastball, the type of movement. It's easy to say, yes, he throws 95 miles an hour, but until you get in that batter's box, every pitcher has their own subtleties and their own definition of each pitch.
First pitch to Sean Green, straightaway center field, and speaking of Rondell White, he's there. Green, the leadoff hitter, retired here in the bottom of the second inning, and let's check in with Tom Harrington.
All right, Brian, I'm with Kimberly Williams, the wife of Blue Jays pitcher Woody Williams. And Kimberly, I know this is a big event for the Blue Jays, this Canada Day game and this series with Montreal, but you've got something also big coming up involving the wives of the Blue Jays. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we have a food drive coming up on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of July for the Daily Bread Food Bank, and this is a really big event for them. They look forward to it for the whole year. It feeds a lot of people for the year, and we haven't had great response the last couple of years, so we need everybody to come out and give us a hand.
You're sitting amongst a lot of Blue Jay fans, but a lot of Expos fans today. How does it feel hearing these big cheers from Montreal?
It's not so bad. Actually, it makes it a little bit more competitive. I think it's kind of nice.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
1-0 pitch to Charlie O'Brien. 2 balls and no strikes. Interesting, Ed Sprague was saying this morning and after the game last night, he'd like to hear more noise from the Toronto fans. He says the Montreal fans were outnumbered here last night, but they made a whole lot more noise. Santangelo on to first base. David Segui, 2 down. And with 2 down here in the bottom of the second inning, the Blue Jays send up their shortstop, the number 8 hitter, Alex Gonzalez. Gonzalez yesterday was 1 for 3. Saturday night hit his 7th home run of the year off your good friend Jimmy Key. A solo shot in the second inning, game that the Blue Jays won at Camden Yards. That's a strike.
Brian, the Blue Jays wives have been involved in this food drive for several years now, and they take a lot of pride in it. They work very hard. I thought that was very nice what Kimberly was saying. People will come out and support that. Now, the Expos have given Juden a 2-run lead here early. And against Roger Clemens, that's something that you welcome as an opposing pitcher. There's Kimberly's husband, Woody, on the left side of the screen. Now, I like those uniforms, Brian. Nice bright red.
That is the second strikeout this afternoon for Juden. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Top of the third inning, top of the order for Montreal. The shortstop, Fred Zelenik, followed by Lansing and Santangelo. John, I mentioned that Clemens struggling this afternoon and throwing a lot of pitches. That could be a story.
36 pitches through the first 2 frames. And he just needs to find that location.
Number 38. He handles it. Flips over to Delgado, and Fred Zelenik, leading it off here in the third inning, is retired.
Roger Clemens has really worked on his fielding over the years. He's a good athlete, of course, but with that big motion and a lot of strikeouts, watch the follow-through. Then he gathers himself. Makes a nice play. That ball was not hit that hard off the bat of Lansing, and it would have been a difficult play for the middle infielders. There was a game last year in September, at the end of the year, when Roger was pitching with the Red Sox, of course, and he did not make a play that may have cost him a ball game. It was a big play, cost him a run, and the next day he was out taking about 30 minutes of ground balls, just working on his defense.
Mike Lansing with a count of 0-2. We talked last night about Montreal's assistant trainer Mike Kozak, and brought up a good point. Players like Mike Lansing, Segui at first base, diving, running, just in perpetual motion, and as a result always playing hurt.
Well, last night I compared it to Jim Edmonds, the center fielder. We saw him make another great play last night for the Anaheim Angels. And players that play that way, they're going to get their nicks and bruises. But this man, Lansing.
Lansing strikes out. That is the second strikeout this afternoon for Roger Clemens. He got Rodriguez to end the first inning.
Good off-speed pitch down out of the strike zone. With 2 strikes, Lansing's getting the bat started, trying to protect.
And with 2 down here in the third inning, it brings up Montreal's third baseman, F.P. Santangelo. Frank Paul Santangelo, I asked him this morning, why FP? Is there any significance? And he said, it was a nickname when I was growing up, and it simply stuck.
Stands for Frank Paul.
One ball and 1 strike. Santangelo with a single to right field. Came in to score on the RBI double by David Segui. The first of 2 Montreal runs. The second Montreal run, that was in the first inning. The second run came on Rondell White's 10th home run of the year with 2 down in the second inning. Inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. David Segui, who drove in that second run, is on deck.
That was
first one, rather.
Excuse me, Brian. That was the 10th pitch for Roger this inning. This is the type of inning he's looking for. A 1-2-3. Let's see if he can close out Santangelo. I mean, another good pitch in the inside corner. And when you look at the first 2 frames for Roger, he gave up this single, just a hard ground ball, just eluding second baseman Brito with 2 outs in the first. Then David Segui dropped that double in front of Sean Green. He misplayed it. It cost Roger a run. The other blemish in the second, the long ball to Rondell White.
Back-to-back strikeouts in a 1-2-3 inning for Roger Clemens. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Thank you, Tom. He'll face the number 9 hitter, Tilson Brito. Then it's back to the top of the order for Nixon and Merced. Ground ball to Santangelo. Checks and throws on to first base, and Brito's retired. Talking about Jeff Juden, he'll be joining Mark Langston, Mike Bilecki, and Jack McDowell. They're all playing at the dinner in Cleveland, the All-Star dinner next Monday night. Juden started playing the guitar at Olympic Stadium following Sunday day games in the concourse, much to the delight of the fans who watched him. He has now played 3 post-game concerts, all with Montreal Jazz musician and former Big O Grounds crew member Joe Jammer.
Well, if they liked him then, they're really liking him this year. Talented right-hander. Now, Jack McDowell, I knew. He's been playing in bands for a long time. He's a good guitarist. I did not know those other players are musically inclined.
As we go back to the top of the order with 1 down, the count is 2-0. The Blue Jays hitless the first time through the order. He's known as Nuke, Jeff Juden. A couple of other ball players who could join him in Cleveland, musically inclined, believe it or not, Roger Clemens and Randy Johnson. Something about you pitchers, Rudy, I don't know what it is.
More time. More time in between starts.
Too much time.
Yes. I played with some players who would bring their guitar on the road trip. Dave Steve, of course, used to toil with the electric guitar often.
Juden, Nixon with that great speed, is retired. 2 down.
I'm sure Jeff Juden knows how quick Otis Nixon is. This is very close. Watch this. This is a bunt attempt. He realizes he pops it up. Judas is going to play it, throw a strike. Watch how close is that first base. Bang, bang. Nice job by Segui, the first baseman. Pretty good fastball there. The first from Judas.
2 down, and here's the Toronto right fielder, Orlando Merced. Segui flips to Juden. And it's 3 up and 3 down here in the 3rd inning. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on Canada Day live from Skydome. Top of the 4th inning with Montreal out in front 2-0. The first baseman David Segui will lead it off to face Roger Clemens. He'll be followed by the left fielder Rodriguez and the right fielder, the rookie Guerrero. Out of play down the left side. John, I was talking with Segui in the clubhouse this morning. I said, you were front page news in Baltimore last week. The speculation being that you could end up with the Orioles, but Geronimo Barroa, obtained by Pat Gillick and Kevin Malone just before the game Friday.
That's always nice as a player to know there's interest around baseball for your services. And this man, look at the average. He's done a great job for the Expos. He's a switch hitter. Can play not only first base, but the outfield if need be.
And he can move quickly if need be.
You better be able to, facing Roger Clemens. This is a little introduction. Hi, I'm Roger Clemens. Of course, David Segui has played in the American League and has faced Roger.
Count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I was talking to David Segui as well earlier today about the attitude of this ball club and how much fun they're having. You watch this Expo team play. Of course, when you're 10 games over 500, it's very easy to go out to the ballpark and look forward to it. But what he had to say to me was the chemistry, and that's used often in baseball. It's really the character of the ball club. He said we have a lot of gamers on this club. Everyone gives it 100%, plays hard, and they're having some fun.
Another 3-2 count. Clemens working hard.
Get it out front. That's a fair ball.
And Segui's retired. So the former Baltimore Oriole, David Segui, is retired here. Put out his 2-3. Just a reminder, Saturday afternoon, coverage continues. The Labatt Blue Pro Beach Volleyball Tour. And that's here on CBC Sports coming up this Saturday afternoon. Don't forget, we have Labatt Blue Jays baseball. The New York Yankees in town Friday.
Watch Roger Clemens right here. He is yelling to Charlie O'Brien. It is out in front of the plate. You don't really need to tell a veteran like Charlie. Nice play. David Segui thought that ball may have gone foul. Big first out for Clemens and the Blue Jays. Roger's starting to throw more split-fingered fastballs. He got Segui to bounce out in front of the plate. And right there, another splitter to Henry Rodriguez has him out in front. Most of the time, Roger will try to establish that fastball early and then go to his off-speed pitches.
One ball and 1 strike to Rodriguez. That strikeout, he went down swinging to end the first inning. Clemens behind 2-1. He's working hard, John, and there's another stat regarding Roger Clemens and the Blue Jays.
There's the pitch count, and high because of those first 2 frames where he threw 36 pitches.
Delson Brito. 2 up and 2 down here in the 4th inning, but we were talking about another statistic as it relates to Roger Clemens.
In his last 4 starts, Brian, the Blue Jays have scored only 5 runs for him. Of course, last week he used a shutout, 7 1/3 innings of shutout baseball against Baltimore for that win.
A sellout crowd here this afternoon, the first at Skydome since April of 1995. First pitch is a strike to the right fielder Guerrero with 2 down here in the top of the 4th inning.
I get paid to do this, man. I get paid.
Roger Clemens has now retired 7 in a row since giving up the home run to Rondell White in the second inning. With John Cerruti, I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to Toronto. Tom Harrington with us.
Back to you, Brian.
All right, Tom, count is 2 balls and 1 strike to Joe Carter leading it off. Make that 2-2. Carter will be followed by Carlos Delgado and Ed Sprague. Carter is DHing this afternoon. There are those that feel he should have been DHing all year. Cito Gaston under tremendous pressure. And Carter strikes out for the 2nd time here this afternoon and the 5th time in this series.
Joe Carter came up in the first inning with Otis Nixon at third base and struck out on a slider down and away. Juden made him conscious of that. This time he goes upstairs with a 4-seam fastball. You can see him trying to check that swing, but that was a good call by the umpires. He went around, and Juden gets the first out here in the 4th inning. This game moving right along as it did last night. After the 2 runs early for the Expos, Roger Clemens has settled in with a 1-2-3 third and a 1-2-3 4th inning.
Last night's ball game, just over 2 hours, talking to the Montreal players. I mean, Baltimore is known to be long, even in the American League. But in the clubhouse, you should hear them. Boy, it's not Baltimore. Thank God. They complained about going to Baltimore, saying we were there all night.
Yeah, of course, in the National League, a lot of the pitching changes are done in between the innings with the double switches. American League, of course, is a little bit more runs scored on average over the years, but the difference is really only about 10 to 12 minutes each year. But boy, it seems like a longer period of time.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Jeff Juden here in the bottom of the 4th inning. 4 in the game. He's a big fella. In the clubhouse this morning, I thought I was in a Raptors dressing room. He's 6'8".
Good sweeping slider down and in. That's a good pitch to throw a left-handed batter. When they see the ball, it looks like it's down and in where they can handle it. Just keeps biting, breaking down away. Nice job by Widger, the catcher, to make the backhand.
Into the gap in right center field. The right fielder is there. Guerrero, no problem. And the Blue Jays have yet to collect a hit through 4 innings. Canada Day 1997. We're set for the top of the 5th inning, and it's the bottom third of the Montreal order that will face Roger Clemens, the DH Ryan McGuire, the center fielder Rondell White, and the catcher Chris Witcher. That is a ball to McGuire. McGuire from Woodland Hills, California. 25 years of age. And he is batting .457 against right-handed pitching. Clemens only down by 2 runs. The Blue Jays, as John Cerruti pointed out, have scored what, John? Only 5 runs for him in his last 4 starts, but he has struggled this afternoon in spite of a lack of run support. That's to left field, Sean Green. 1 down. Well, the batter's Rondell White. Let's go back to the 2nd inning with 2 down. Here's White facing Roger Clemens.
White, a very good fastball hitter, quick short stroke. Gets that ball out over the plate for his 10th home run of the season. The Expos very high on this youngster, Rondell White. Of course, he plays an excellent outfield defensively in center field.
And Rondell White is 2 for 2 this afternoon with a 1-out base hit here in the 5th inning.
Again, going the other way. The Expos really feel that Rondell White is a star of the future. We know about his speed, but they feel he can hit 20-plus home runs, drive in 80 or 90 runs a year, and steal on top of all of that 30-plus bases.
Well, he's 9 of 15 in stolen base attempts this year.
Had a pretty good lead about halfway onto that carpet. Off the dirt cutout at first base, Roger realizes and knows that he has good speed. He has a very big lead. A lot of times a good base stealer will not take a very large lead. Ricky Henderson very good at this for a number of years. And they will use what they call a one-way lead, which means they have no intention of stealing the base. They get a good lead to see the pitcher's pickoff move, knowing that they're going back to first.
Back to first goes Rondell White.
It's a way for a base stealer to get the timing of the pitcher and try to pick up what he moves first when he comes to first base. Rondell White got a glimpse right there of Roger. Let's see if he gets maybe an inch or two more onto the carpet.
Yes!
He may have gotten an inch too much.
Clemens picks off Rondell White, 2 down.
Well, that's how you learn. It's the tough way for Rondell White. I'm not sure he was going. I really think he was just testing Roger Clemens. No, he was going. He caught him leaning. Quick throw by Roger Clemens, right on the money. Good tag by Delgado, and big out.
Count is 2 balls and no strikes to the catcher, Chris Widger. Darren Fletcher injured, of course, in that Baltimore series, as was the Orioles starting catcher, Chris Hoyles. Fletcher is due off the DL on July 3rd, which would be Thursday, to face the Atlanta Braves. New York and Atlanta. Yankees winning 1-0 in extra innings last night. New York comes to Toronto this weekend. Atlanta to Montreal. Base hit to left field. That hit comes with 2 down here in the 5th inning. Widger's out at first base, and we'll go back to the top of the order for the shortstop, Mark Redzalanek. Well, Felipe Alou, his team comes in here 10 games above 500. The Blue Jays underachieving 3 games below 500. And as a result, Alou, of course, under no pressure. Cito Gaston's under tremendous pressure. Asked to talk about Felipe Alou and the inevitable comparisons, he said, look, I'll put it on the table. 2 World Series titles, 2 league titles, 4 division titles. But no question, speculation rampant here in Toronto that Cito Gaston could be gone at the All-Star break. And 1 strike to Redzalanek. Well, I mentioned the last time Toronto and Montreal met in a meaningful game prior to last night was August 28th at the old Delormier Stadium in Montreal. The old Montreal Royals and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And on that subject, I checked the out-of-town scoreboard. AAA this afternoon. The Expos farm team, the Ottawa Lynx, home to the Syracuse AAA farm team for Toronto. Ottawa leading 3-2 in the top of the 4th inning.
Brian, you mentioned Roger Clemens struggling. He did struggle in the first couple of innings with his control. Giving up a run in the first, a solo home run to Rondell White in the second. He retired 8 batters straight leading into this inning.
Widger running.
Close pitch right there. You can see Charlie O'Brien. He's expecting a strike, but the home plate umpire, Rocky Rowe, quickly letting him know that it was a ball. That is the job of the umpire in that situation with a runner going and 3 balls. He has to know if that's a strike or not, because if it's a strike, Charlie is coming up throwing. But catchers need to know. They want to know immediately from the home plate umpire, because if they don't get the call and they throw the ball into center field, that's a live ball and the runner can advance to third.
Charlie O'Brien out to talk to Roger Clemens. The situation is this: 2 down, runners at first and second. The batter is Mike Lansing.
Brian, I should point out that the defense has played a big role in the second and here in the 5th inning. They had a big caught stealing when Ryan McGuire was thrown out by Charlie O'Brien at second base on a botched hit and run with Rondell White at the plate. And of course he hits the solo home run. A big pickoff of Rondell White here with 1 out could be a major role. Now there's 2 outs and runners at second and first base.
That is a ball to the Montreal second baseman Mike Lansing, who's 0 for 2 this afternoon. Flied out to the center fielder Otis Nixon in the 1st inning and struck out in the 3rd inning. Two balls and no strikes now to Mike Lansing. Falls behind 3-0 and back to second base goes Widger. On at first is Gredzalani.
Brian, often I will talk about hitters getting in between where they're out in front of the off-speed pitches and late on the fastballs. Well, pitchers in the same can get in between. Right now it looks like Roger's struggling for that release point. They get a little high with the fastball and they run it up. Their breaking pitches and their off-speed pitches, in this case the split-fingered fastball, as well as a changeup for Roger Clemens have been down. Time was just a 3-0 fastball he poured down the middle of the plate. The release point is the key for a pitcher. On all pitches you try to find that release point where you can get that good consistent control.
3-1 pitch is a strike. John, is it just me? It seems that there's not as much emotion from Clemens today as there was last Thursday in Baltimore.
Well, yes, I think because he struggled. He struggled with that control. He's found himself down 2-0 in a big ball game for the Blue Jays. I think he's just looking to gain a big.
He gets the ground out. Put out his 4-3. Clemens and the Blue Jays are out of the inning. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on CBC. And with John Cerruti, I'm Brian Williams. To you and yours, wherever you're looking in this afternoon. Happy Canada Day, a time for families. Your family's up here.
Yes, my wife and 3 children, and as well as all my relatives throughout Ontario. And happy Canada Day to you.
Happy Canada Day to you, my partner.
You too.
Let me ask you, how do you figure out this Toronto team? They sweep 4 in Baltimore, yet they can't win here in the Sky Dome, and I think that's one of the reasons Cito Gaston is feeling so much pressure.
They've lost 6 in a row here at Sky Dome. They have now, after last night, have the worst record in the American League at home, and it has been a question mark. It's one of those things that's, you know, we're in the middle of the season. A lot of times you look at numbers and you break them down, but for whatever reason they have not done well here in front of the home crowd. They have their work cut out for them, trailing 2-0 here against a pretty formidable right-hander, Jeff Juden.
First pitch is a ball to Sean Green, who leads it off in the bottom of the 5th inning. Sean will be followed by the catcher O'Brien and the shortstop Gonzalez, and you see no hits so far in this game for Toronto. And it's interesting, I look back to my score sheet from last night. The Blue Jays' first hit last night against Pedro Martinez was a single to center field by Alex Gonzalez, leading off the 6th inning. If anyone is going to get a hit off Juden, it could be Green. We talked about Carter and Sprague below 200 in June. For the month of June, Sean Green hit .362. Strike 2, count even at 2-2 on this, the first day of July.
Well, you know, Sean Green would like to get something going for the Blue Jays. He made a mistake in the outfield in the 1st inning that cost the Blue Jays a run.
He thought about it. He's down looking, and that is the 5th strikeout this afternoon for Jeff Juden. So the Blue Jays yet to pick up a hit, and once again we check in with Tom Harrington. Tom?
history of baseball in this country. This is John McHale, recently inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame today, in fact. The man who brought Expos baseball or helped bring it to Montreal. And John, today, Canada Day, the Expos and the Blue Jays playing together. Your thoughts seeing a spectacle like this?
It's one of the most beautiful days I've ever seen in baseball on Canada Day, to see these two major league teams, both of them fine teams playing, and the fans enjoying it so much.
This was a dream of yours. You gave a speech many years ago in Toronto. Tell me about that.
Well, and I just felt that Toronto should have Major League Baseball, and after Montreal had acquired it, and the natural rivalry of the two great cities, and we always hoped that Toronto would be in the National League. It's taken a long time to get them together in an official game, but it's as you look at this game and this series, it's been worth it.
You're involved in the game still in Canada as a co-owner of the Vancouver Canadians. But give me a sense of the health of baseball in Canada right now.
Baseball is very alive and well in Western Canada, where baseball is thriving in Vancouver, and Edmonton, and Calgary, and some of the other cities out there in Ottawa. I think baseball is taking hold in Canada and is producing some wonderful players. Larry Walker being one of them, that I'm very proud of, from the Vancouver area. So I think baseball has a great future, and it's sort of carrying some of our weaker areas in the States.
You've had a lot to do with the history, John. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful being here.
References to Canada's Baseball Hall of Fame. They're back-to-back strikeouts for Juden here in the fifth. Green and then O'Brien with 2 down. Here's the number 8 hitter. And speaking of strikeouts, Gonzalez certainly prone to strike out. Not this time. On the warning track is the left fielder Henry Rodriguez. 3 up and 3 down for Toronto in the 5th inning. You're watching. Jeff Juden is a no-hitter going. Roger Clemens has given up 5. F.P. Santangelo, the third baseman, leads it off. Segui's on deck, followed by Rodriguez. Until he was 7 years old, Santangelo lived in Livonia, Michigan, suburb of Detroit. When the Tigers came to Montreal, told this story last night. It's a great one. He wanted to meet Ernie Harwell, a legendary Tiger broadcaster, and Santangelo told me this morning, he says, I got Ernie's autograph. When the Tigers came to Olympic Stadium, Ernie and wife Lulu still living in the Detroit area in Farmington Hills. 1-2 pitch. Got even at 2-2.
Roger Clemens usually likes to set the tone, and he usually does of a ball game. He found himself giving up a run in the first and the second to the Expos, and it's really been Jeff Juden that has taken control of the tempo of this ball game.
Clemens strikes out the leadoff hitter Juden here in the 6th inning. This series continues tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 on the West Coast. It'll be on TSN, the Sports Network, with Buck Martinez and Dan Shulman. Dustin Hermanson, a right-hander, 3-4 for the Expos. Robert Person, another right-hander, 3-5 for Toronto. 1 down. Here's Segui. That's a ball.
Pretty good pitch right there. You can see Charlie O'Brien. Looked like he might have had something to say to Rocky Rowe. Both him and Roger Clemens wanted that pitch.
By the way, that strikeout, the 4th for Clemens this afternoon. That is foul ball.
Durwood Merrill, one of the most animated umpires in the American League.
No doubt about that call.
Look at veteran umpires as well. It's an off-speed pitch that is pulled on the ground, and it just goes foul. But watch Durwood Merrill quickly. That's a foul ball, he said a couple of times, and Delgado says, oh, you could have gave me that. I made a nice play on it. You could have had it out. Players had a lot of fun with Durwood Merrill. He is one of those umpires that is easy to talk to. You can speak your mind to him, he'll give it back to you. Move on.
2 balls and 1 strike to Segui. Roger was high and inside to Segui earlier, was he not?
Yes, and right there, he's thrown a lot of pitches down and in as well. You know that he is struggling with that control. Just hasn't had his pinpoint control this afternoon.
2-1 pitch laced into right field for a base hit. That is the 6th hit for the Montreal Expos off Roger Clemens this afternoon. Jeff Juden has yet to allow a hit.
We've seen Roger pitch often from behind in the count. Again, he gets behind 2-1. Throws a fastball, and you can see he's just trying to reach it in on the inside part of the plate. Segui, good job of clearing those hips, pulls the handle of the bat towards his body, and singles into right field.
Segui's on at first base, and he can run. One down, the batter's Rodriguez. That's strike one to Rodriguez. At the conclusion of today's game, we will select the Chevrolet Malibu player of the game. A cash donation will be made in his name to the charity of his choice on behalf of Chevy Malibu. Segui's at first, one down, 2-0 Montreal.
Roger got the call on that fastball at the knees.
He fooled the scoreboard on that one. The scoreboard flashed up 2-1, but the count is 1-2. That was a strike.
Take another look at it. Borderline pitch. It's not a pitch that Roger's been getting this afternoon. That time Rocky Rowe raised the right arm for strike two.
That is the 5th strikeout this afternoon for Roger Clemens, second here in the 6th inning. 2 down. And it's the second time this afternoon Rodriguez is down.
Good split finger fastball. Look at the sequence of pitches. After that called strike at the knees, Segui has to protect. He sees the ball in the same area, but it's a different pitch, a split-fingered fastball. The bottom falls out of it. He swings over it, and he strikes out for the second out in the inning.
2 down for Guerrero. Ed Sprague charging. Will go to first base. Short hop by the first baseman Delgado. And that's all for the Montreal Expos here in the 6th inning.
Well, the Blue Jays got the first hit off of Martinez, as Brian mentioned, leading off the 6th. Let's see if Tilson Brito can repeat that this afternoon against Juden. Juden's been brilliant. He's had all his pitches working. And when you combine a 93, 94 mile an hour fastball with good control, as he's had with that slider that breaks down and away from a right-hander, it's a good combination to keep these Blue Jay hitters off stride and out of sync. As a pitcher, that's all you're trying to do is upset the timing of the hitter. And Juden's done that tremendously this afternoon.
John, you worked with a lot of catchers. Interesting to hear Martinez and the Montreal pitchers, Juden as well, with great praise for Widger. He's had to come in for the starting catcher, Darren Fletcher. As I mentioned, Fletcher due to come off the DL Thursday for the series with Atlanta. But Widger, certainly in the eyes of the Montreal players, has really done a job.
We talked last night about general manager Jim Beattie and how excited he was to acquire this young catcher. He talked about his defense. He put up some big numbers offensively in AAA last year for the Seattle Mariners AAA affiliate in Tacoma, Washington. Came over in the Jeff Fassero trade, and he's really establishing himself here at the major league level.
That is the 7th strikeout for Juden this afternoon. Brito, the number 9 hitter, strikes out, leading it off here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Here's a sequence of pitches. He drops in a breaking ball, slider away, has Brito swinging, and then the high fastball. He changed the eye level of the batter. He get them looking down. You run the high fastball. Awfully tough to catch up with.
Ball one to Otis Nixon. Santangelo in at third base. Nixon always a threat to bunt for a base hit. Nixon lost the fly ball in center field last night. That was the difference. Fly ball by David Segui that dropped and did not bounce over the wall. Went for a triple, scoring Santangelo with a winning run. As John Cerruti pointed out at the time, the Blue Jays certainly hoped it would have bounced over the fence for a ground rule double. Santangelo would have held at third base.
In-your-face baseball right back at you. Good cut on a fastball by Nixon.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Otis Nixon with 1 down here in the Toronto half of the 6th inning. The Expos leading 2-0. Back-to-back strikeouts for Jeff Juden here in the 6th inning. He has 8 for the game and has yet to allow a hit.
In the last 3 innings, he struck out the first 2 Blue Jay batters. You got Carter and Delgado to lead off the 4th, Green and O'Brien to lead off the 5th, and now Brito and Nixon here in the 7th. And like so many hard-throwing, big right-handed pitchers, when they find that groove, what Juden did early in this ball game, they can be difficult to hit as the game wears on.
It was a muggy afternoon, not as bad apparently as it was up in Ottawa. Peter Mansbridge and Allison Smith saying 30 plus. It's only, or was only, that's out of play, 27 degrees here at game time, so it's certainly not cool, and it is muggy, but Juden holding up very well, and the weather could be a lot worse at this time of the year for a pitcher.
Very comfortable afternoon. And when you have a no-hitter working in the 6th inning, you're not even thinking of the weather. You're just trying to get that ball back as quickly as you can and keep making pitches and keep this going for yourself. Your team has spotted you 2 runs early in the ball game, 2 off of one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, in Roger Clemens. I mentioned early on that Juden has been a pleasant surprise for the Montreal Expos. Last year, he came to the Expos from the San Francisco Giants. Earlier in the season, he made 58 appearances, all in relief. He broke camp this year, expecting to be a reliever. And here he is as a starter, looking for his 10th win.
Count even at 2-2. With 2 down here in the 6th inning, 2-0 Montreal. Juden a pitch away from striking out the side. Merced barely stays alive. 6'8" Jeff Juden, a native of Salem, Massachusetts, an area you know well, John.
Just north of Boston.
Jeff Juden strikes out the side. 9 in the game. He is not allowed a hit through 6 innings of play.
Welcome back to Sky Dome. The Montreal Expos leading the Toronto Blue Jays 2-0 as we head to the 7th inning at Sky Dome. And joining me is Radio-Canada color commentator Claude Raymond, longtime Expos relief pitcher, 24 career saves, if I recall, in the early 70s with Montreal. Claude, from a historical point of view, what does it mean to you to see a game like this today on Canada Day?
Well, it's great. I never thought I'd see this day, but you know, it's great for the Expos, great for the Blue Jays, great for baseball in general, and also great for our country, because we've got a great country, and I think this game here is outstanding because you got a great pitching duel. Juden's got 9 strikeouts. Clemens is doing his best, but Juden, his idol was Roger Clemens. Now he's pitching against him. You can't ask any better.
Tell me about Juden. He seems like a bit of a character from what I saw, what I've seen him before the game.
Well, they call him Noob because of the movie, the pitcher Bull Durham. But he's got great stuff. He's got a great fastball, good curve, a few changeups. But Bobby Quire made a pitcher out of him this year, really.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Tom. 1 down, and the count is 1-0 to Rondell White. Not even at 1-1. Ryan McGuire, the DH, leading it off, was strikeout number 6 for Roger Clemens. That solo home run by White, his 10th of the year, came with 2 down in the 2nd inning. The catcher, Chris Widger's on deck, bottom 3rd of the order for the Expos. Montreal this afternoon has out-hit Toronto 6-0. The series winds up tomorrow night. The Atlanta Braves going to Montreal for the weekend, and the New York Yankees come here to Toronto. Delgado to Roger Clemens, covering at first base, 2 down. I think Brito looked a little surprised there that Delgado came all the way over to get it. They're talking.
A first baseman should try to get everything he can reach and watch Roger Clemens covering. And that is a nice play, stopping before he carries himself over the baseline, because that can be dangerous with a Rondell White or anyone bearing down the line. Nice play on both ends. Delgado to Clemens to get the second man here in the 7th inning.
And with 2 down, it brings up the catcher, Widger. Widger flied out to the right fielder, Orlando Merced. That was in the 2nd inning. Single to left field in the 5th inning.
And Brian, like all great pitchers, and Roger Clemens, of course, one of them, when he doesn't have his best stuff, and he hasn't this afternoon, his stuff looks good, the velocity and his splitter finger fastball, but he hasn't had the location as batter Widger battles and fouls that one off. Great pitchers find a way to win when they don't have their best stuff. He has done a good job this afternoon. He's kept his team in the ball game. He does trail 2-0. I think back to a start he made 4 starts ago, back on the 16th of June against the Atlanta Braves. He went 9 innings in a 3-0 loss, but pitched brilliantly. So lately he hasn't had the run support, but as you would expect, Roger Clemens out there battling. And if he can get Widger here, he's going to give his team a chance to come back on Jeff Juden.
Another full count for Clemens.
Oh, we've seen that. A lot of deep counts. A lot of times he's been pitching behind, and that was his 106th pitch on the afternoon here in the 7th inning.
That is the 7th strikeout for Roger Clemens, his 2nd here in the 7th inning. This is Labatt, Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Had 2 base runners. Otis Nixon had a leadoff walk in the 1st inning. Delgado walked with 2 down, but since that, the Blue Jays have had no base runners. In fact, Juden has retired 16 in a row as he gets set to face the DH Joe Carter, the first baseman Carlos Delgado, and the 3rd baseman Ed Sprague. Some impressive numbers. Roger Clemens well over 100 pitches.
Jeff Juden, of course, no hits. That helps. But with 9 strikeouts on the afternoon through the first 6 frames for Jeff Juden, that is a very economical way to go about it. We saw Pedro Martinez last night with 105 pitches in a complete game. Jeff Juden has been spectacular. Now let's see if Joe Carter can get something going for the Blue Jays in support of Roger Clemens.
2 strikes to Carter, leading it off in this capacity crowd. Now very much with the Montreal right-hander Juden. Joe Carter strikes out 3 times this afternoon. He struck out 3 times last night. That is the 10th strikeout for Juden here this afternoon.
Another good breaking ball, expanding that strike zone. He goes down and away. You can see Joe trying to reach it. Just a great pitch by Juden. 10th strikeout victim for Jeff Juden.
And the first pitch, a ball to the first baseman Carlos Delgado. Juden has now retired 17 in a row since walking Delgado in the first inning. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Pitching coach Bobby Cuellar and Claude Raymond, the fine broadcaster and former fellow left-hander for the Montreal Expos. He makes a good point about that man and what he's done with Jeff Juden, not only Juden, but the rest of his staff. I talked earlier coming out of spring training, it was a big question mark, the starting rotation for the Montreal Expos. They knew they had Pedro Martinez, and then they had to fill in 4 slots. Juden has been one of them. Hermanson, the right-hander we're going to see tomorrow, has done a nice job. Of course, Carlos Perez, the left-hander, missed all of last year with an injury, and he has come back and pitched very well in the first half of this season.
Locked up, foul territory. Witcher, the catcher, 2 up and 2 down. Juden had struck out 4 in a row going back to the 6th inning. He's now retired 18 batters in a row with 2 down here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And just a reminder, this copyrighted telecast today is presented by authority of the Toronto Blue Jays, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club. 2 down, 2-0 Montreal. Bottom of the 7th inning as Juden works on a no-hitter.
Brian, you mentioned 18 Blue Jays retired in a row by Juden. And if it weren't for the leadoff walk to Otis Nixon and the walk to Delgado with 2 outs, he'd be perfect.
Is 11 strikeouts. He has retired 19 in a row, has not allowed a hit through 7 innings here this afternoon. Well, no question, the story here this afternoon is the big Montreal right-hander, 6'8" Jeff Juden, who has no-hit the Toronto Blue Jays through 7 innings and has struck out 11 as the Expos bat here in the 8th inning. Zelanek drops a base hit in front of the center fielder Otis Nixon, and that is the 7th hit this afternoon off Roger Clemens.
Breaking ball down out over the strike zone, and that's a good piece of hitting by Grzelcyk, going with it the opposite way, taking what was given him by Roger Clemens, and he is aboard to lead off the 8th inning here. And Roger's job is to try to get them back in the dugout, get his team back in the dugout with just a 2-run deficit, because the way Juden's pitching, 1 may be enough, or 1 may be a lot to ask to get. Of course, they're going to have to get at least 2. Roger knows the importance of this game for the Blue Jays and the importance of this inning right now.
That's a ball to the second baseman, Mike Lansing. Juden received a tremendous ovation, a prolonged ovation from this sellout crowd when he walked off the field after the bottom of the 7th inning. base hits for Montreal here in the 8th inning. And with none out, the Expos have runners at second and third for the third baseman, Santangelo.
Fastball inner half of the plate. Lansing pulling it down into the corner. That was the 110th pitch on the afternoon for Roger Clemens. You see the ball kick off the banner there in left field. Green gets it back as quickly as he can. And with nobody down, the third base coach, Pete McCannon for the Expos, holds the runner. And there's some concern from the Blue Jay dugout. The third hitter, FP Santangelo, in to face Roger Clemens. Cito Gas is going to bring the infield in, trying to cut down the run at the plate.
Zelanik at third. Delgado looks the runner back to third, steps in the bag, one down. On at second base is Mike Lansing. Red Zelanik's on at third.
Well, Cito's going to keep the infield in. One option would be to walk Segui, but Henry Rodriguez, who waits on deck, another left-handed hitter, who Roger has handled pretty well. I think he's going to be careful with Segui. Segui 2 for 3. The RBI doubles Brian mentioned in the first inning, and they single in the 6th.
And don't forget, Segui drove in the winning run last night in the 2-1 victory for Montreal. Fly ball. It looked to be a routine play to center field. Nixon simply extended his arm, saying, I don't know where it is. It dropped. It did not bounce for a ground rule double. It rolled for a triple, and thus Santangelo was able to come around and score the winning run from first base. Charlie O'Brien catching Roger Clemens here this afternoon. The Expos have out-hit Toronto 8-0. Lead by a score of 2-0. Felipe Alou's team coming in here with a record of 45-35, 3 games behind the second place Florida Marlins. A very different story for the underachieving Toronto Blue Jays. In danger with the worst home record in the American League, in danger of falling 4 games below 500. To Segui is a strike, and the count is even at 2-2.
Roger Clemens is not one to back down to a challenge, but he's using the off-speed pitch, a good splitter here in a very precarious situation. Runners at second and third, infield in. He is looking for the strikeout.
That is the 8th strikeout this afternoon for Roger Clemens. 2 down here in the 8th inning.
Another split-fingered fastball, and that has made Roger a better pitcher than he was back in '86, '87, earlier in his career when he was winning those Cy Youngs, the first 2 of 3. Of course, he won again in '91, but he talks about that split-fingered fastball and how the positioning of the thumb has enabled him to run it to both sides of the plate. And now Mel Queen, the pitching coach, out with a conference, pretty much the entire infield, along with Roger Clemens and Charlie O'Brien, and they are going to go over Henry Rodriguez and what they want to do. Now, if they have a base open, there are 2 outs. And remember, Vladimir Guerrero, the right-handed batter, will be on deck. But I think that Clemens has handled Rodriguez very well. He's punched him out twice. He got him on a weak ground ball to second base in the 4th inning. Now you see 116 pitches. Roger and Cito Gaston somewhat criticized in that start where he left the ball game after 7 innings against the Baltimore Orioles a week ago Saturday. It was a different day.
Count is 0-1, 2 down. Runners at second and third, 2-0 Montreal, top of the 8th inning. Delgado. And that's all for the Montreal Expos here in the top of the 8th inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Juden has not allowed a hit. Bottom of the 8th inning in Toronto with John Cerruti. I'm Brian Williams. Jeff Juden is working on a no-hitter for the Montreal Expos. He has struck out 11. Has retired 19 in a row since walking Carlos Delgado with 2 down in the first inning. We understand the gentleman with the mustache is Jeff Juden's dad, who's here from Massachusetts this afternoon.
Proud day for him. Came in looking to watch his son perhaps win his 10th victory, and he is flirting with a no-hitter here in the 8th inning.
John, we should point out there have been 3 no-hitters against Toronto. Glenn Barker in 1981 in Cleveland, Dave Stewart for Oakland here at the Sky Dome in 1990. And in 1991, Nolan Ryan no-hit the Blue Jays in Arlington, Texas. Green, O'Brien, and Gonzalez. And the first pitch is a strike to Sean Green. Orsulak has gone into left field as a defensive replacement for Henry Rodriguez. And you know, something I didn't realize. I mentioned Dave Stewart with a no-hitter here at Sky Dome in 1990. The losing pitcher was
myself. I saw that up close and personal. The same night that Fernando Valenzuela threw a no-hitter.
Well hit. There goes the no-hitter. Jeff Juden. Here's O'Brien. First pitch is a ball, so last night, Pedro Martinez, brilliant display of pitching, had a no-hitter through 5. Gonzalez led off the 6th with a single. Juden, a no-hitter through 7. Green leads it off in the 8th with a home run.
Well, you lose the no-hitter, you lose the shutout, but you quickly start thinking about that win as Jeff Juden's dad looks on. Now it becomes a 1-run ball game in the 8th inning. That is the 12th strikeout this afternoon for Jeff Juden. And it's the first out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. John, let's have a look at all 3 strikes. After a disappointing home run to lead off the inning for Jeff Juden, he comes right back with 3 good pitches, all fastballs, overpowering Charlie O'Brien. He still has that good heater here in the 8th inning.
That's strike 1 to Alex Gonzalez, who broke up the no-hitter. As we mentioned last night, that Martinez going after 5 innings. Gonzalez leading off the 6th with a single to center field.
Well, the bullpen for the Expos getting busy. A couple of right-handers, and they're all right-handers down there. They have 6 of them. That is Urbina and Veras warming.
Well, this crowd of 50,000 plus very much behind Jeff Juden now with a home run by Sean Green. They move back to the Toronto Blue Jays, realizing they will not see a no-hitter here this afternoon. A 2-1 ball game. That is the 13th strikeout this afternoon, and we go to Tom Harrington. Now there's 2 balls and 1 strike to the number 9 Toronto hitter, Tilson Brito. If you're just joining us, Jeff Juden has pitched brilliantly here this afternoon. Had a no-hitter through 7. Sean Green led off the 8th with a solo home run. Since that home run, he is retired on strikes. O'Brien and Gonzalez, strikeouts number 12 and 13. And the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Brito.
And if you're wondering about the pitch count for Jeff Juden, he just went over the 100 mark. That was his 103rd pitch on the afternoon.
Coming in right field is Guerrero. He makes the play. That's all for the Toronto Blue Jays here in the 8th inning, but they ruin the no-hitter and get on the board with a solo home run by Sean Green. Top of the 9th inning. Roger Clemens still in this ball game, John Cerruti, and that is strike 1 to the right fielder, the rookie Guerrero, leading it off for the Expos. Guerrero last night with a home run in the 2nd inning. One of 2 Montreal hits, or 2 runs rather. All they needed was behind Pedro Martinez. They won the opener 2-1. 13 strikeouts for Juden. 8 so far for Roger Clemens. Count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. The second of a 3-game series. Tomorrow night's game at 7:30. Hermanson and Person. It's Sprague. That's a fair ball. Long throw. Not in time to get Guerrero. So the Expos leading 2-1. Get their leadoff hitter Guerrero on here in the top of the 9th inning.
This is a great play by Eddie Sprague. He goes into foul territory. A very strong throw, but you can see Vladimir Guerrero's through the base and through your screen. He has a lot of speed. No chance for Sprague, but a nice play.
Ryan McGuire is the DH, the young call-up from the Ottawa Lynx back on June 5th when Segui was injured. As we look ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning right now, a 2-1 game, the Blue Jays have the top of the order up. It'll be Nixon, Merced, and Carter. The irony there is the same 3 that came up last night against Pedro Martinez. 2 of the 3 struck out as Martinez won on a 3-hitter.
You can see McGuire looking down at third base coach Pat McCannon as he goes through the signs. Lou, the manager, looking to advance that runner to second base, and Roger stepping off. He may even put the hit and run on in this situation. He gave him a couple pitches with a 1-1 count. Big hole on the right side for the left-handed hitting McGuire. Pulled it back in time. He squared. Now Charlie O'Brien is going to ask the third base umpire as Felipe Alou looks on. There's Pete McCannon, the third base coach for the Montreal Expos.
Saw Pete McCannon. Mike Lansing last Wednesday hit a home run, was 12th of the year, tying him with the third base coach McCannon for most home runs by an Expos second baseman in a season. He hit 12 in 75. Runner going, here's the throw down to second base. They get him. Charlie O'Brien's had a big afternoon.
Roger Clemens has kept the Blue Jays in this game, a 2-1 game, and he's had a lot of help from behind the plate. Charlie O'Brien with a throw on the money. Good sweep tag by Alex Gonzalez. This is close at second base. Let's look at it from this angle. I don't believe he got his hand in there until after the fact.
There's a base hit to left field by McGuire with one out here. Guerrero caught stealing. McGuire was caught stealing back in the second inning after he walked, and it was a big play by Charlie O'Brien, John Cerruti, because after McGuire was caught stealing in the second inning, Rondell White hit his 10th home run of the year. Cito Gaston is out. To a chorus of boos and cheers, hard to tell which dominate. Well, the New York Yankees had a big win last night over the Atlanta Braves as Roger Clemens leaves this ball game, and he gets a standing ovation here this afternoon. Clemens struck out 8 and allowed 10 hits. You're watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on Canada Day. Roger Clemens leaves with 1 down and a runner at first base here in the top of the 9th inning. And John Cerruti, let's have a look at his numbers this afternoon.
Well, an afternoon where he didn't have his best stuff, but look at that into the 9th inning. He allowed 10 hits, had a couple caught stealings, a big pick off of Rondell White at first base. The earned runs are at 2, of course. He's responsible for the runner at first base in Ryan McGuire. And you can see now he'll go into the clubhouse to get some ice or treatment and leave it up to Paul Quantrill, who has done an outstanding job out of the Blue Jays bullpen. There are the numbers. Look at the ERA, below 2.
Canada Day, the Expos playing the Blue Jays, and a great thrill for a young Canadian as Quantrill's in this game. First pitch, and that's a foul ball. Ed Sprague seemed to stumble a bit there on the turf.
He caught a spike and turned his right foot, and he seems to be okay.
John, looking ahead again to the bottom of the 9th inning, it's the top of the order, Nixon, Merced, and Carter.
Well, it'll be up to Paul Quantrill to pick up Roger Clemens here. Roger, of course, not able to get the win now.
Gonzalez. There's 1. 2. The double play. We head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Montreal leads by 1. The top of the order up for Toronto. This is Labatt Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Well, it doesn't get any better than this. Last night all over again. Bottom of the 9th inning. Blue Jays with the top of the order and trailing Montreal 2-1. The only difference is last night Martinez with a 3-hitter. Jeff Juden has allowed 1 hit here this afternoon. A leadoff home run by Sean Green in the 8th inning. First pitch is a ball to Otis Nixon. Last night in the 9th inning, Nixon struck out, Merced grounded out, and Joe Carter struck out.
Look for Nixon to be taking a pitch, taking a strike. He got it right there. It's 1-1. Right here, he's looking to get aboard any way he can because he knows if he's able to draw a base on balls against Juden, there's a good chance it's going to be a double because we saw him steal second base on the first pitch the last time.
Tries to drag it, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I was going to say, Brian, the last time he reached base with a leadoff walk in the bottom of the first inning. Blue Jays have the right man to lead off the inning. The top of the order, as Brian mentioned, speedy Otis Nixon.
Well, you mentioned that leadoff walk. He stole second base, his 35th stolen base in that first inning. Merced then grounded out to the first baseman. Carter struck out, Delgado walked, and Sprague popped up. And after that, Juden retired 19 in a row. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Juden with 13 strikeouts here this afternoon. Make that 14 strikeouts for Jeff Juden. And it's the same as last night. As this big crowd of more than 50,000 boos Nixon, he struck out leading it off in the bottom of the 9th inning last night.
Otis Nixon thought this pitch was down and looked low from here. It was a breaking ball, but when you get a game as Juden is pitched going, you get the call. Here's the first fastball that catches the inside corner, the bunt attempt fouled, and then the breaking ball. You can see, remember, it's not where Widger, the catcher, catches it, it's where it crosses the plate. Home plate umpire Rocky Rowe said it crossed above his knees. A big out for the Expos.
The 14th strikeout here this afternoon for Jeff Juden, if you're wondering. His career high, 9. He's done that twice. 9 strikeouts, September the 23rd of last year against Cincinnati. June 15th this year at home in an interleague game against the Detroit Tigers. Count even at 1-1 with 1 down. Bottom of the 9th inning, 2-1 Montreal.
Juden looking to complete this ball game, but just in case in the Expos bullpen, that's their stopper, Urbina. He has 14 saves on the season. And like Juden has emerged as one of the starters, one of the great starters for the Expos this year, Urbina has emerged as the closer after Mel Rojas left for Chicago in the offseason.
There is a base hit to left field by Orlando Merced. Only the second hit this afternoon of Jeff Juden. Felipe Alou is coming out.
And he's going to go to his right-hander out of the bullpen. That was the 114th pitch for Jeff Juden. What a great afternoon as Mr. Juden looks on. Very proud moment for him, but two big outs to go.
So Jeff Juden leaves this game giving up 2 hits and striking out 14. 6'8" native of Salem, Massachusetts. And listen to this ovation. Watching Labatt Blue Jays baseball on CBC. Back to Skydome after this. Now, it's 2-1 Montreal. Merced's at first, and here's Carter. He struck out 3 times this afternoon. Merced. Carter was swinging and back to first base. Will go Orlando Merced.
Joe Carter trying to find a hole on that pitch with the infielders moving, with Orlando Merced trying to steal second. Merced got a great jump from first base. A lot going on here in the 9th inning between those 2 men, respective managers.
Merced at first base, and John, it's important to point out Widger has caught only 6 runners out of 53 attempting to steal. The count is 1-2 with 1 down to Joe Carter. 2-1 Montreal.
That's tough. You can't get your potential tying run thrown out at second base. That would be a big call. It was a hit and run when we saw Merced lead 2 pitches ago. Urbina, I've mentioned he's become the closer for the Montreal Expos, but he has not pitched well on the road. Urbina has an 0-3 record with 5 saves on the road, but he's allowed 9 earned runs in 16 and a third innings pitched. there by Joe Carter. This is a split-fingered fastball. Some pitch a layoff with 2 strikes.
Says the first base umpire, Durwood Merrill. That is the 4th strikeout this afternoon. Carter strikes out 4 times this afternoon, and he struck out 3 times last night against Pedro Martinez.
Joe Carter laid off the splitter, but here's the slider. That was close. Let's get it from the side angle. Let's see if the bat crosses the plate. It does. Good call by Durwood Merrill. He did hold the wrist. Joe knew it. He did not break his wrist, but the bat crossed the plate. Tough out for Joe and a big out for the Expos.
Well, Carter strikes out 7 times in this series. Felipe Alou's back out to talk to Huguet Urbina. 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th inning with Merced still at first base, and the batter's Carlos Delgado.
Well, quickly out to talk to his right-hander. Joe is hoping that Carlos Delgado can get a pitch from Urbina. We all know that he can easily win this game with 1 swing of the bat for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, last night, with 1 down in the 7th inning, Delgado with a towering home run to right field.
Merced at first base. I think Cito Gaston will keep him there, because if he steals and happens to be successful getting to second base, I would think they might walk Delgado, even though he would be the winning run to face Ed Sprague, the right-handed batter. Well, let's say that would be an interesting decision for manager Felipe Alou. Would go against the conventional book, if you will, of baseball. You'd never walk the potential winning run. Nice play by Widger there, keeping that ball in front of him. A wild pitch or fastball will get Merced into scoring position.
Well hit. Not deep enough. Rondell White is there, and for the 2nd game in a row, Montreal Expos have defeated the Toronto Blue Jays by a score of 2-1. And this crowd of over 50,000 standing and cheering. Jeff Juden will be the winning pitcher. Urbina comes in to preserve that victory here this afternoon. But whoa, a couple of great ball games. You talk about interleague play, John. Both nights, or last night and this afternoon, coming down to the bottom of the 9th inning. Toronto with the top of the order up, and the same story for the Blue Jays. The big guns have been unable to produce.
Very exciting baseball. We knew coming into this series, especially these first 2 ball games, great pitching matchups. They've lived up to the billing. 2-1 victories for the Expos in both games, and today, boy, it came down to 1 swing of the bat. Carlos Delgado just missing that ball, flying out to deep center field. And the Expos excited about coming in here and taking the first 2 from the Blue Jays.
What a job by Juden here this afternoon. He strikes out a career-high 14, allows 2 hits, the home run by Sean Green leading off the 8th inning, and the single, tip of the hat from a jubilant Jeff Juden. He allowed a single by Merced in the 9th. Back after this.
Ici, les Expos l'emportent 2-1 grâce à 10 coups sûrs. N'ont commis aucune erreur ces 6 coureurs sur les sentiers. Pour les Blue Jays de Toronto, 1 point, 2 coups sûrs seulement. aucune erreur. 3 coureurs laissés sur les sentiers. Le lanceur gagnant, Jeff Juden, porte sa fiche à 10 victoires, 2 défaites. Le perdant, Roger Clemens, 12-3, victoire protégée à la fiche d'Huguet Urbina. Un 15e match sauvegardé pour Urbina aujourd'hui. Et la performance du match vous est présentée par Chic.
Et mon joueur du match, eh bien, vous l'avez sûrement deviné, c'est Jeff Juden. 14 retraits sur des prises, 10e victoire avec 2 échecs. Il a supplié les Expos de lui donner un poste de lanceur partant au camp d'entraînement. Et regardez ce qui arrive, une journée extraordinaire. Il arrive puis il bat son idole d'enfance, Roger Clemens, lancé par lancé. Il y avait un match sans point de coup sûr jusqu'en 8e manche. Alors, quelle performance!
Oui, quelle performance, en effet, il a connu aujourd'hui, ce Jeff Juden, devant son père, que l'on a vu assez régulièrement à l'écran. Devant aussi 50 000 personnes ravies, j'en suis convaincu, par la qualité du spectacle qui a été présenté.
Et des millions à la télévision à travers le Canada aussi. Alors, c'est toute une performance de Jeff. Et en tout cas, moi, chaque fois que je le vois aller au monticule, je me dis, ce gars-là, il commence à sortir comme un des bons lanceurs de la Ligue parce qu'il semblait lancer la balle avec Woodger toute l'après-midi.
Quelles sont ses chances, à votre avis, de mériter une invitation au match des étoiles comme lanceur?
Écoutez, 10 victoires, 2 défaites, c'est aussi méritoire que 12 victoires, 3 défaites pour Clemens.
On dit d'ailleurs qu'on pourrait s'entretenir en compagnie de Jeff Juden. Jeff, nice going.
Thanks,
What a
bud.
day you had against your hero, if I can say so.
Sure. It was a great day out there, you know. Roger pitched a heck of a game today and just tried to keep it competitive all day long, you know, and the boys came through again.
This is Claude Raymond. Jeff, when did you find out, or were you aware all along that you had a no-hitter going?
Well, you know, I just try to take it one pitch at a time, you know, one hitter at a time, go out there and go after him. So, you know, just taking it step by step and having a good time.
You know what I saw from here today? I saw you pitching to Woodger all day. It seemed like there wasn't even a hitter around there. And your father was so nervous in the stands, we had shots of him.
Yeah, well, I just try to do my daddy proud, you know. You know, it's great to have him out here at the ball game, and wanted to go out there and do the best I could, and you know, and be my childhood idol, and just feel really fortunate.
And the 14 Ks, wow.
Yeah, well,
You got some stuff going, eh?
14 is my lucky number, so it seems fitting. Thank you.
Well, we thank you, and we hope that you don't only play the guitar at the All-Star game, that you go on the mound in Cleveland and show him.
Well, we'll be jamming out there, so looking forward to seeing you.
Good, nice going. Thank you.
Thanks for
guys.
being with us.
All right, have a good one.
Alors, évidemment, il raconte tout le plaisir qu'il a ressenti aujourd'hui. Il a dit que c'était l'objectif dont Bobby Coyard nous avait parlé d'ailleurs ce matin. Tout ce que je tentais de faire en bout de ligne, c'était de rester compétitif face à Roger Clemens. Il a réussi, il a connu une journée idéale.
Exactement. Puis à ce qui a trait à son père, il dit, moi, tout ce que je veux faire, c'est de rendre mon père heureux, de le rendre fier de moi. Alors, il dit, je pense que j'ai réussi un bon bout aujourd'hui.
Il a parlé de la maîtrise parfaite qu'il a eue de ses tirs presque tout au long de la journée. Alors, 2-1, victoire des Expos aujourd'hui.
Chapeau.
Une victoire portée à l'affiche de Jeff Juden. Nos prochains rendez-vous, vous les connaissez déjà. Samedi prochain, d'abord, du Stade olympique, 19h30, alors que les Braves d'Atlanta sont les visiteurs. Clemens sera opposé à Pedro Martinez. Et ensuite, le 8 juillet, le match des étoiles en direct du Jacobs Field. Marque finale, victoire des Expos 2-1. Ici René Potier au nom de toute l'équipe. Au revoir et à samedi, 19h30.